If you're stuck choosing between Glen Allen and Mechanicsville and thinking, why does this feel harder than it should? You're not crazy. At a glance, they look similar. Same suburban feel, similar price ranges, same Zillow scroll at 11:30 at night, flipping between listings and wondering why none of them are clicking. But here's what nobody tells you. These two places can give you completely different lives, and one of them usually fits way better than people expect. I'm talking about how your day actually feels, your mornings, your evenings, that moment when you pull into your driveway. I've watched people move here thinking they picked the smart option, then realize later they picked the wrong fit. That regret doesn't show up in the inspection. The good news is once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you're torn right now, you're paying attention. And that's exactly why this video matters. I'm breaking down the real difference between Glen Allen and Mechanicsville, not the glossy version. I've seen this decision play out more than I can count. I've worked with people who were dead set on Glen Allen because it checked all the boxes. Newer homes, easy access, everything right there. And then a few months later, they'll say, I didn't expect it to feel this busy all the time, especially at the end of the day when traffic stacks up around Short Pump, crawling along Broad Street, and the road noise never really drops. On the flip side, I've had clients who were nervous about Mechanicsville, worried it might feel too far out or too quiet. And then they call me after moving in like, why does this feel like the first time my house actually lets me breathe? That's the part no listing description prepares you for. It's not about being right or being wrong. It's about how your life feels once the novelty wears off. Here's the fastest way I could explain the difference between Glen Allen and Mechanicsville. You feel it the moment you're actually there. Not when you're scrolling, not when you're comparing numbers, when you're driving through it. Glen Allen feels busy in a polished, efficient way. Wide roads, big intersections, everything is moving. You're close to Short Pump, right off of Broad Street and I-64, so there's always motion. During the day, it feels productive, like life is happening around you. Coffee shops are full, parking lots are full, traffic lights feel timed. On paper, the average commute is only a few minutes shorter than Mechanicsville, but it feels faster because everything around you stays switched on. At night, it doesn't fully shut down, it just dims. You still hear cars, you still feel that low-level hum that reminds you you're close to everything. Mechanicsville hits different. The first thing people notice is the quiet. Not dead quiet, just space. More sky, longer stretches between lights as you head down Mechanicsville Turnpike. During the day, it feels slower in a good way, like nobody's rushing you. At night, it actually goes dark. Streets empty out. You hear crickets instead of engines. And for some people, that calm is instant relief. For others, it feels unsettling at first. Quiet or busy isn't good or bad. It's just different. I had a client who moved from out of state and was convinced Glen Allen was the move. Loved the convenience, loved being near everything. 3 months in, they told me they felt like they were in the heart of things. They loved being 10 minutes or less to pretty much everything and anything that they could possibly want. If you're listening to this and realizing one of these already feels more like you, don't ignore that. This is exactly the decision I help people make every single week. I'm the local Richmond, Virginia relocation realtor of choice, and my job is not just to help you buy a house. It's to make sure you land in the right lifestyle the first time. If you want real guidance and real answers, call me, text me, email me, or grab a time on my calendar. All of my information is in the description. This is where the difference between Glen Allen and Mechanicsville really shows up, not in theory, and how your days actually move. In Glen Allen, life runs in loops. You stack errands, grocery runs, coffee, Target, back home. Most of it funnels towards the Short Pump side of Broad. You're rarely far from what you need, but you're almost never alone doing it. Parking lots stay busy, lines move fast, people know where they're going. It's efficient, but it's constant. You don't really pop out for one thing. You plan it. Even dinner feels intentional. Grab and go during the week, maybe a sit-down spot on the weekend if you time it right. A lot of people end up defaulting to places like Wegmans and Short Pump because it's convenient, predictable, and right in the flow of everything. Mechanicsville runs differently. Errands stretch out instead of stacking up. You're more likely to hit one or two places along Mechanicsville Turnpike and call it a day. Fewer crowds, more familiar faces, dinner skews local. Same places, same routine. Places like Giovanni's Pizza, my personal favorite. Weeknights feel quieter by default. You're not fighting traffic just to grab food. You're deciding if you even want to leave the house. And a lot of people don't. They cook more. They slow down more. They notice the difference. For plenty of residents, a stop at Kroger's and Atlee covers everything without turning into an afternoon mission. And this part matters more than people expect. In the Richmond suburbs, over 70% of daily errands are completed within 5 miles of home, which means how those retail clusters are laid out has a bigger impact on your mental load than your actual drive time. Glen Allen feels fast because everything is packed together and always active. Mechanicsville feels slower because fewer places are competing for your attention at the same time. Here's where I want to hear from you. Drop your vibe in the comments. Are you someone who loves having everything close and moving? Or do you want your evenings to feel quiet without trying? I read every single comment, and it actually helps people watching. They see themselves in this decision because once you live in a place for a while, daily rhythm starts shaping everything. Most people start this comparison the wrong way. They grab a map, eyeball the mileage, and assume whoever's closer automatically wins. Richmond doesn't work like that. Glen Allen looks like the easy choice. You're near job centers. I-64 is right there. Broad Street runs straight through everything. On a perfect morning, it flies. But Glen Allen lives on timing. Miss the window near Short Pump and the whole drive changes. One stalled car, one accident, one surge of traffic spilling off Broad Street. Suddenly, that short commute turns into mental math and lane hopping or back road cruising. Some days feel effortless. Other days feel like roulette. Mechanicsville plays a different game. You're usually driving farther, but the rhythm is steadier. A lot of commutes rely on 95 or swing wide on 295 near Atlee. Fewer decision points, fewer surprise slowdowns. You're not constantly recalculating. You know roughly how long it's going to take before you even start the car. That predictability lowers the temperature of your whole day. Here's the part that catches people off guard. Average commute times between Glen Allen and Mechanicsville only separate by about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on where you're headed. The bigger swing is reliability. Traffic data shows peak hour variability in Short Pump corridors can be 40% higher than routes feeding Mechanicsville. One issue near Short Pump can add 20 minutes to a Glen Allen drive fast. Mechanicsville drivers tend to land inside a tighter time window, even if that window is slightly longer. And that changes how life feels. Reliability saves mental energy. You arrive home less cooked. You stop bracing for traffic drama. You plan evenings differently. Over time, that calm starts to matter more than shaving off a couple of minutes on paper. Once that clicks, people start rethinking a lot more than just their route. Commute reliability quietly reshapes what kind of house feels worth it, how much space you want, and why certain neighborhoods suddenly make more sense than they did online. Here's something most people don't think about until after they move. Community isn't about how many people live around you. It's about how often you actually run into the same ones. That difference shows up fast in Glen Allen and Mechanicsville, but not in the way people expect. You might spend a random weekday afternoon at the Glen Allen Library and notice how alive it feels. Parents juggling backpacks, remote workers grabbing Wi-Fi for an hour, kids bouncing between activities. Now contrast that with a slow evening at Pole Green Park in Mechanicsville. People don't rush in and out. They sit. Kids play longer. Adults actually talk. You see the same faces week after week, not because there are more events, but because there are fewer places people rotate through. Familiarity builds quietly. You're not passing through, you're settling in. You'll feel this again at Twin Hickory Park compared to Mechanicsville's smaller community spaces. In Glen Allen, third spaces plug into a busy daily circuit. In Mechanicsville, they become the circuit. That difference matters more than people realize. Scroll long enough and the numbers start arguing with each other. Most neighborhoods were built in tighter windows, so homes line up better. Similar sizes, similar layouts, similar setbacks. Scroll through listings and the numbers feel more stable at first. Typical values land closer to the low 400s, and a lot of buyers relax right there. It feels understandable, predictable. Then new construction enters the frame, especially around Atlee and farther out. Suddenly, you're seeing brand new homes with modern layouts, bigger kitchens, and warranties sitting next to established resale homes from the early 2000s. Same zip code, very different product. That's where the confusion creeps in. Prices stretch not because the area changed, but because the homes did. Now flip over to Glen Allen, and everything feels louder. Housing variety is stacked on top of itself. Older neighborhoods blend straight into newer subdivisions and townhome clusters. One turn feels traditional, the next feels freshly built. Places like Wyndham and Twin Hickory pull prices up fast, while nearby townhomes and smaller single-family options pull average back down. That's why the data looks chaotic. Zillow's typical value pushes north of $500,000, while Redfin's median sales settles closer to low 400s. Both numbers are right. They're just talking about different slices of Glen Allen at the same time. Quick gut check in the comments. When you picture your next place, do you lean towards something brand new or something established with character? There's no wrong answer. It just points you towards a different part of this map faster than you might expect. Eventually, the excitement fades and the math sticks around. Not the sticker price math, the quiet math, the kind you feel on random Tuesdays when nothing is wrong, but nothing is extra either. Mechanicsville tends to land softer over time. Hanover County's real estate tax rate hovers around 81 cents per $100 of assessed value, and paired with generally lower assessments, monthly pressure stays lighter than many buyers expect. It doesn't feel dramatic, it just feels steadier. Less internal debate about upgrades, less hesitation when life throws something unplanned at you. Even the annual reassessment letter that shows up in the mailbox feels more like a check-in than a gut punch. Glen Allen carries slightly more weight on the back end. Henrico County's rate sits currently at 83 cents per 100, and when higher assessed values enter the picture, the difference becomes real, not scary, just present. It shapes how you move, how often you travel, how long you wait before tackling renovations. The house still works, the lifestyle just asks for more attention. One thing worth noting is that Henrico County has lowered its real estate tax rate twice in recent years, which is unusual for this area. Combined with Henrico being home to some of the historically strongest real estate markets in the Richmond metro, it's one reason many homeowners view Glen Allen as a place that holds long-term value. What surprises people is how personal this part becomes. Higher costs don't automatically mean stress. Lower costs don't automatically mean peace. Some homeowners love knowing they stretched into a place that energizes them every day. Others breathe easier knowing there's margin, even if the house itself is simpler. At some point, all the comparisons stop helping because nobody actually chooses Glen Allen or Mechanicsville in a vacuum. They choose a version of life, and the location just happens to match it. If you picture your week and Glen Allen keeps popping up in your head, that's usually not about the houses. It's about pace. It's about having options layered into your days, different routes, different shops, different stops, different ways to solve the same Tuesday. Glen Allen fits people who don't mind a little motion around them, people who like feeling plugged in, even when life is busy. That environment rewards flexibility and momentum. It works best for people who want their world to feel active without feeling chaotic. Mechanicsville shows up differently. When that one clicks, it's almost always about relief. Less decision fatigue, fewer pivots once the day starts. Life feels more linear, more predictable in a good way. Mechanicsville fits people who want rhythm, who value familiarity, who don't need 10 options to feel fulfilled. That environment supports calm consistency and deeper routines instead of constant choice. This isn't about age or kids or price point. Those are the surface level excuses people use to justify a feeling they actually have. It's about how you want your days to behave when nothing special is happening. If one of these already feels like it's quietly calling your name, trust that. Drop one word in the comments. Glen or Mechanicsville? No story, no justification, just instinct, because the right fit doesn't feel like a compromise. It feels like recognition. Here's the real takeaway. You're not choosing a neighborhood. You're choosing how your days are going to feel. We talk through the vibe, the daily rhythm, the commute reality people underestimate, why housing prices feel confusing, and how long-term cost quietly shape comfort years after move-in. That stuff doesn't show up in listings, but it absolutely shows up in real life. I've watched it play out. People who chose Glen Allen because it looked right on paper and realized a few months in they were constantly running. Others who worried Mechanicsville would feel too quiet, then settled in and finally felt like life stopped rushing them. Same budgets, same jobs, completely different outcomes. If this helped something click and you want help figuring out your own fit, I'm your local Richmond, Virginia realtor of choice. No pressure, no guessing. You can call me, text me, email me, or grab a time on my calendar anytime. All of my information is right there in the description. Even if you're several months out, I'm happy to talk through it. And if you want to keep going, check out our Find Your Fit, Where to Live in Richmond, Virginia playlist next. The next video breaks down another Richmond area matchup that surprises a lot of people, and it might help you rule something out before you waste time chasing the wrong option. Thanks for watching. I've got a lot more to break down, so I'll see you in the next one.